Okay, so we've talked about some of the default payment gateways that are part of WooCommerce, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add a payment gateway that is not part of WooCommerce. I've already demonstrated how the other payment gateways work in conjunction with your store. So once you add a product, you'll have the option to pay by check, cash on delivery, or PayPal. We're going to add a new payment gateway that is also going to allow us to take credit cards, but I wanted to demonstrate this one because I feel like it is a superior method of incorporating credit card integration into your site, since when you actually pay for the product, you don't leave the site like you do with PayPal. Now, it is worth noting that if you do pay for the professional version of PayPal, then you are less limited in regards to the branding that the PayPal page will allow you to style and the overall functionality. However, once I show you this new payment gateway method, I think that you'll agree that it is a better experience. The payment gateway that we're going to be using is called Stripe. And Stripe is a way that you can accept both web and mobile payments. It works a lot like PayPal, but the experience is going to far exceed what PayPal offers by default. Let me just show you what the pricing is so that you're aware of that. You can see that the pricing is really similar to PayPal's. It's actually the same for online purchases, 2.9% plus 30 cents per charge. There are no monthly fees, and you are going to only be paying a percentage of what you're selling. So that's awesome. They also have a really nice reporting system, which I'll show you when we go through this as well. The only thing that you need to know about using Stripe is that you will have to have a secure socket layer or an SSL installed on your server in order to use Stripe. Because Stripe isn't sending you off to another location to actually complete the transaction like PayPal does, it requires that your site is under an SSL. So if you want to use Stripe, you do have to have an SSL. And to incorporate SSL onto your site, you will, in most cases, have to pay something, but it is usually just a yearly fee, and it can be much less than what you would pay with other payment gateways. So we're going to go back into WordPress, and here I am at my dashboard. Before I actually incorporate Stripe, I'm going to go and get a plugin that's going to help me do this. So I'm going to go to my plugins, and it is worth noting that I have a little 2 here. It's letting me know that 2 of my plugins, both WooCommerce and Jetpack, are not using the most current version. So it is a good idea to update these. If you wanted to get more information, you could find details on the newest version. Most of these things have to do with security. I would certainly encourage you to read the details, but if you've read through them and you feel like you want to update them, then that's definitely something that I would encourage you to do. So if I check both of these, I can go down to bulk actions, and one of my options, which might be off the screen for you guys, is right under deactivate. I have an option to update. So I'm going to click update, and I'm going to apply, and it's going to update both of these plugins. It is important when you're using WordPress to make sure that both WordPress and the plugins that you're using are updated, because then your site is less vulnerable to any sort of attacks. You can see that updating my plugins is very quick and easy, and there really is no downtime for doing that. So now that I've done that, I'm going to come up to the top and go to Add New, and I'm going to search for Stripe. Now there are quite a few plugins that work in conjunction with Stripe. The one that you want to look for is called WooCommerce Stripe Payment Gateway. This is, in my opinion, one of the better plugins. Now, I haven't used all of these other ones, so they could work very similarly, but this one is excellent. And as of the beginning of 2016, they made this plugin free. It used to be that it cost starting at $79 for a one-time site use, but now integration of this plugin is free, which is awesome. And you can see that a lot of people are using it. It has excellent reviews. And of course, as usual, I would encourage you to find out more details about the plugin and do your own research. Don't just trust me. I know though that this is what I'm going to use, so I'm going to click Install Now, and I'll activate the plugin. And now you can see that I have the WooCommerce Stripe Gateway active and running. Now that I've done that, I'm going to go into WooCommerce and I'm going to go into the Settings tab. I'll go to Checkout, and you can see that I have a new option here. I have a checkout option for Stripe. It also is letting me know that Stripe is almost ready, but to get started, I need to have my Stripe account keys. I'll talk more about this in just a moment. I'm going to click the link for Stripe, and this window does look similar to the other options that we've used. The first thing that I need to do is I need to enable using Stripe if I want to use that, so I'm certainly going to do that. You can give this a title, and we'll just leave it at Credit Card Stripe, and then of course you could give it a custom description. We will be working in test mode, so I'm going to check Enable Test Mode. The next four options are keys that you need in order for Stripe to actually work. These are things that you're going to have to get from your Stripe account. So until we log into Stripe and set up our account, there's nothing I can do here, so we'll come back to this. The other options are ways that you can customize how Stripe is going to work on your site. We already talked about capturing, so I'm going to leave capture checked. The next option will actually change the way Stripe works, and I'll show you this, but we're going to leave it unchecked for now. You can also save cards. These cards actually get stored on Stripe's website because actually the transactions are handled on Stripe, even though they will look like they're handled on our site. And then you have an option to log any sort of debug messages. So if you're having problems, this could be a way to help. I'm just going to leave this window open for right now, and I'm going to go back to Stripe. In order to incorporate Stripe into your site, you're going to need to sign up for a free account. I already have an account, so the option up here says Open Dashboard. Let me log out real quickly so I can show you what this looks like when you're not logged in. Okay, so now I have logged out, and this is what the Stripe page looks like for you if you haven't logged in. You can see that in the upper right hand corner it did say Dashboard before, but now it says Sign In. So I'll need to actually sign in. And if you have not already set up a Stripe account, you won't get this welcome back message. Your page is going to look more like this, where you need to set up a Stripe account. It's super easy to set up a Stripe account. All you have to do is put in your email and put in your password. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to log into my Stripe account. And here I am logged into my Stripe account. So this is the dashboard. It's going to give me a summary of any activity that I have done on my Stripe account, and it will allow you to actually track quite a bit of details in regards to purchases that have been made utilizing Stripe. It is worth noting that right now I'm in the test mode. You can see that there's a little tab in the upper left that allows you to toggle between test and live. If I click live, it's going to let me know that I haven't activated my account and I can only use this account in the test mode until I activate it. If you want to activate it, you're going to have to go through a little bit more in order to activate the account. The types of things that you're going to have to know in order to activate your account are going to be things like what type of business you have. You're going to have to enter your bank account information. You're going to have your tax ID information. So all the things that you would need for normally running a business. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to stay in the test mode, so we don't have to worry about that. And if you want to follow along, you can easily set up a Stripe account. All it takes is your email address and a password, and you'll be logged in and you'll be able to start playing with Stripe and seeing how it works. But back to integrating my Stripe account with WordPress. So I already am in test mode like we talked about. Whether you're in live or test mode, the next step would work in the same way. I'm going to go up to the upper right where it has a link for my account. I'm going to click your account and I'm going to go to account settings. This is going to give me a series of tabs which will let me control my account. The thing that we are going to be concerned with is going to be our API keys. So I'm going to go to API keys, and this has information on my API keys. These are the codes that I need to integrate Stripe into my WordPress website. So I'm going to copy these keys And it is worth noting that these keys are something that you don't want to share with other people. So normally you would not want to show anyone these keys. When I'm done with the screencast, I'll go ahead and roll the key, which will reset it to something else. But for right now, I'm going to show you exactly how I need to do this. So this is the test secret key. I'm going to go back into the back end of WordPress, and you can see that I have an area for live secret key, live publishable key, test secret key, and test publishable key. Remember the name of the key that you copied. I copied the test secret key. That one needs to go right here. I'm going to go back to wooCommerce, and I'm going to copy my test publishable key, and then I'll go back into WordPress, and I'll paste in the test publishable key, and I'll do the same thing for the live secret key and the live publishable key. Once you've entered this information, now you're ready to go. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to click Save Changes. Now what we'll do is we'll go to the front end portion of our website, and I'm going to refresh the page so that I can update the settings. I've already added some products. They've been saved in my shopping cart. And if I scroll down, you can see that I now have a new option. I have an option to accept credit cards using Stripe. And you can see that the number of cards compared to PayPal is a little bit greater. So I do have a few more cards added. The ones that you're probably going to be receiving the most are going to be Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. I will go ahead and say that I want to pay with my Stripe credit card, and as soon as I do that, it's going to let me know that Stripe is currently in test mode. So in test mode, it lets me know the credit card number that I need to use, and it's also letting me know that I just have to have an expiration date that is past today's current date, and I can use any CVC. So I'm going to enter in the credit card number. Stripe is indicating that this is a Visa. I'm going to enter in my expiration date. We'll just make that 12 of 20. And I'm going to enter in a CVC code. And again, these numbers can be anything that you want. The date just needs to be ahead of today's date. I'm going to check that I've read and accepted the terms and conditions, and I'm going to place my order. Once I've done this, you can see that it has redirected me to an order received page. I've never left my Sprinkle This website. I'm still on my own custom website. And it gives me a summary of the order. Here's the order number, here's the date, here's the total amount, and here's the payment method. And then obviously if I keep scrolling down, I can get more detailed information about my purchase. I'm going to go back into the back-end part of WordPress. And if I go to the orders section, you can now see that I have 2 orders that I have not checked. One of my orders was something that I made earlier, and then here's the order that we just made. An order for $9.29. It was made on the day that I'm recording this movie, and you can see that one item was purchased. If I want any more information about this, I can click on the order number, and it's going to lead me to a page where I can get more information about this particular order, what was actually ordered, and details about the customer. Notice how easy it was to use Stripe to make this purchase. Compared to PayPal, it's really great that you never leave the site. I do want to show you one other option that's available to you utilizing Stripe. I'm going to go back to my WooCommerce settings to checkout and to Stripe. It is worth noting that I have a message here that lets me know that Stripe is enabled, but the Force SSL option is disabled. Your checkout may not be secure. Please enable SSL and ensure your server has a valid SSL certificate. Stripe will only work in test mode. Remember, we had talked about this checkbox when we had reviewed the checkout settings. So in order to incorporate Stripe, I would need to make sure that I was using Force Secure Checkout and that I had an SSL. For our purposes here, since we're only using the test mode, it will actually function fine. But if you were rolling this out to be a real site, you would certainly want to incorporate these settings. I'll just go ahead and update and check Force Secure Checkout and save these. And then I'm going to go back into the Stripe area. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave everything the same, except I am going to check this little checkbox right here. Enable Stripe Checkout. When you do this, it's going to change the method that Stripe uses to check out. So let me show you the difference. I will save my changes, and I'm going to go back to the front end portion of my website. I'll go back to my shop and I'll add a couple more products. We'll go and view the cart, and let's just order a bunch of cupcakes this time. So now I am purchasing almost $32 worth of cupcakes. I'm going to proceed to the checkout, and you can see that it's going to give me a summary of my order. Obviously, I have the same options available down below. I am going to check out with Stripe. Now, if I try to check out at this point, I am going to get some error messages because I never filled out the billing details. So let me just fill this out with some information. And now, if I go ahead and check the Stripe credit card, and of course check that I've accepted the terms and conditions and continue to payment, you're going to notice that instead of going to another page, it actually opens a modal window. And I would need to enter the credit card number, and since we're in test mode, I'm just using the test credit card. If you want it to remember you, you can check remember you, and then next time you do a checkout, you won't have to enter everything. But because I want to test this, I'm not going to check that. And then I'm going to authorize that I pay $39.31. Once I do that, you can see that I get a little green checkbox, the modal window disappears, and it does redirect me to the order received page, which gives me a summary of this particular order. Now, you can see that the process is very similar. It just depends if you want a modal window to open in the area where you're collecting information from your customer. I kind of prefer that because I think that the interface is a little cleaner, but that is up to personal preference. Either way, all you have to do if you want to incorporate that is to check Enable Stripe Checkout. If this is unchecked, you don't get the modal window experience. If I go back into my orders has now updated with 3 new orders, and here is the order that we just made for $39.31. I purchased 8 items, and here is the customer. You can see by including Stripe, it makes it really easy to accept payments with your online store. The final thing I want to show you is if we go back into our Stripe account, and I'm going to refresh the screen. Please note that I originally had an amount of $40 for sales, but when I refresh the screen, this number is going to increase because now it's going to track the other 2 sales that I just made. So here's the first sale, and then I had these other 2 sales. And if I want to have more information about this, I can go to the transactions section and go to payments, and it will actually give me a breakdown of any payments that have been made on my website. And this interface is really clean, and it's really easy just to log and manage any sort of sales that you might have made with your website. So I would highly recommend Stripe as an alternative for a payment gateway system. I think it really helps to make the whole interface of checking out on your website clean and very easy to both incorporate and to use, and the fees are comparable to that of PayPal. So anyways, that's your e-commerce tip for this video. Hope you found it helpful.